So White House and EU and others have called for Israel to operate under the rules of war. Here's Biden saying, you've got to operate under the rules of war. Watch this.
I've known Bibi for over 40 years. A very frank relationship. I know him well. And the one thing that I did say, that it is really important that Israel, with all the anger, frustration, and just I don't know how to explain it, that exists, is that they operate by the rules of war. The rules of war. And there are rules of war. And I believe Israel is doing everything in its power to pull the country together, stay on the same page, and we're going to do everything in our power to make sure Israel succeed, and God willing, to bring home those Americans who are in harm's way.
So Israel's president, Isaac Herzog, he actually responds to the calls for Israel to operate under the rules of war. Many others, government officials from different countries have said you must operate under the rules of war. Obviously, the United States has said it. This is what the president has to say. He essentially says, well, they all have missiles in their kitchens, so watch this.
Matt Fry, Channel 4 News in the UK. Thank you very much. Let me first of all say that there's an enormous amount of genuine, authentic sympathy for Israel and for what your country is going through right now. But listening to your answers in the last few minutes, I'm a little confused. Because on one hand, you say that Israel abides by the rules of war and is very careful to avoid the loss of civilian life in the Gaza Strip. But at the same time, you seem to hold the people of Gaza responsible for not trying to remove Hamas. Now, let me finish.
You hold a missile in your kitchen, in your living room.
Can I ask my question?
A missile that is sent on our head here, and if there will be a siren, it's a missile from that kitchen.
My question is this, if I may. You seem to hold the people of Gaza, the civilians of Gaza, responsible for not removing Hamas, and therefore, by implication, that makes them legitimate targets.
No, I didn't say that.
By implication, you said that.
I want to make it clear. I was asked something about separating civilians from Hamas. But with all due respect, if you have a missile in your goddamn kitchen and you want to shoot it at me, am I allowed to defend myself? Yes. That's the situation.
No one is denying the
These
right
missiles
are
there. These missiles are launched. The button is pressed. Okay. The missile comes out from the kitchen onto my children.
But the question is this. Ultimately, you can't remove the people of Gaza. They're going to be stuck in this neighborhood.
So we have to fight. What do you want us to do? So we tell them, get out, and we fight against the law.
What happens eventually? What happens eventually? Right? Once this war is over now, you're going to have to live with them side by side.
Absolutely.
What's the plan?
The plan is we have to make sure the Hamas will not be able to repeat this again. That is the plan. That's what we are trying to do.
And if you decapitate it...
In fact, I see nations fighting terror, okay? Many decent nations, when they fight terror, they fight terror. We are fighting terror. Humanity has to decide, are we accommodating terror or are we fighting terror? We are fighting terror. And we saw the worst atrocity possible. We see the worst atrocity possible by a whole campaign of a movement which has major support with our neighbors, major. They believe, many people believe in it. I agree. There are many, many innocent Palestinians who don't agree to this. But unfortunately, in their homes, there are missiles shooting at us, at my children, at the entire nation of Israel. We have to defend ourselves. We have the full right to do so. And it's about time that the world understands it. This is the tragedy of using terror, and terror there's no mercy to terror.
It's insane to believe that all of these Palestinians have missiles in their kitchens and in their living rooms. It's racist and insane to think that it's just they're all terrorists and grandma has a missile in her kitchen. I mean, Look, I mean, it's completely not true. Where Hamas locates their missiles, where they have the missiles, you would think that Israeli intelligence would be wise enough that they'd be able to see that. I'm sure there's satellite images. They know this. That the point is not to go after Hamas. It is to terrorize the group of people, to get them to leave, to get them to get out of there so that they can claim the land that they're wanting to claim. That is the end goal there. So it is. So then it's in their best interest to claim they're all terrorists and that they all need to be targeted to get them all out of there in order to accomplish that end goal of just eradicating them from the land so that it all belongs to Israel because, the promises God promised the land to the people or something, whatever it is that people believe. But listen, when it comes to the rules of war, at the end of the day, I don't have any expectation whatsoever that an organization like Hamas, for example, is going to operate under the rules of war. As he mentions, they all have rockets in their kitchens or their living rooms or whatever. And I see this all the time on social media as well. People saying, well, what about Hamas? They're not operating by the rules of war, so why should the Israelis? Well, we don't give money to Hamas, at least not that I know of. I would hope we're not, and certainly not secretly. I don't expect organizations that are not official governments or maybe that are deemed terrorist organizations or militia groups or whatever. I don't expect them to operate under the same rules that I expect a first world developed government to operate under. My expectation is that a government is going to operate in a more measured way, that they're going to be more humane, that they're going to operate at a higher level than terrorist organizations. That is just my expectation. So whether or not Hamas operates under the rules of war or not, it doesn't absolve these developed governments, these first world developed Western democratic governments, at least they claim to be. It doesn't suddenly allow them to act like animals. And that is what they're doing. They're acting like, well, if they're going to act like animals towards us, then we're going to act like animals towards them. And that is not the way we want to operate as a society. We don't believe in vigilante justice, right? We have a judicial system to handle those types of things. We're not going after in a vigilante way. We've risen above that. We're more enlightened. And when it comes to war, we're supposed to be more enlightened as well. This will just backfire on Israel, and it's beginning to. The news reports, at first, of course, everybody, as that reporter was saying when he was asking President Herzog about the rules of war, people are extremely sympathetic to what the Israeli people are going through. The terror that they felt over the weekend cannot be discounted or minimized in any way. They, of course, felt an immense amount of terror, and they're still living under an immense amount of terror. Being in a war zone is terrifying. But this now is beginning to backfire because as they're going and doing these very harsh measures against the Palestinian people, the rest of the world is saying, wait a minute, this is just going too far. You need to operate under the rules of war. And this is just not, this will ultimately harm Israel. This will ultimately harm their mission. And it harms the narrative for sure that they're just under attack and there's nothing they could do. The world is watching. We have the internet. We can see the stories. We see the deaths. We're hearing from the Red Cross. We're hearing from the UN. We're hearing from schools. We're seeing in the news the children that are being maimed and harmed and massacred. And people are not going to excuse that from a first world Western democratic nation, especially not one that we, the United States, we, the American people, give billions of dollars to every single year. We will not accept this. And they have to understand that and act in a much more measured way moving forward. And I hope that they do. War is terrible. There's no way to minimize the fact. I mean, look, people are going to get caught in the middle of war. Civilians are going to be killed. This is why war is terrible and why we should be seeking out a genuine peace agreement between the two, between the Palestinians and the Israelis. They need to live together in peace. All right, guys, there's only a few days left for Genucel's incredible dark spot package sale before it's gone. You got to go to Genucel.com/Kim right now and get their dark spot corrector. It is a must-have after months of record heat and humidity, included with every most popular package. That's what it's called, most popular package. You get sunspots, brown spots, discoloration, dry, inflamed patches. All of that is going to disappear in front of your very eyes. There's only 10 days left. So take advantage of the Genucel's most popular package, which now includes the dark spot corrector, plus the classic Genucel bags and puffiness treatment and immediate effects. And this introductory Genucel bundle is 70% off. So you can try the best skincare in the world for yourself completely risk-free. And here's the Genucel Amazing Guarantee. You'll see results day one or your money back. So it's simple. Just go to genucel.com/Kim today to start looking years, even decades younger tomorrow, and get an upgrade to free shipping. You'll see results day one, and you'll get compliments everywhere you go, guaranteed. They've guaranteed it. So try it out. Just go to genucel.com/Kim.